What it do, y'all? It's your girl Makeup and Travel, and for today's video I am here to bring you guys another video, and this one happens to be special because it is a collaboration with my friend Evany. Me and Evany have commented on each other's posts every so often. We chat every so often. We have done one previous collaboration together, and this is the second one. So definitely please go ahead and check out her channel. I will link it down below, as well as her video when she posts it. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about it's a tag, and it's like if I had to declutter one palette from every brand tag. So one thing I will say really quickly before I get into, okay, no, we're just gonna do it this way. For the way that I did it, I decided to only choose a palette from brands that I had more than one palette from them. I hope that made sense, because there are some brands that I literally have one palette, which I wouldn't declutter it because then I wouldn't have that palette, you know? Anyways, so yeah. It's not that many palettes I'm going to be discussing today, but I did finally do it. I've been avoiding doing this because I'm good at avoiding things sometimes, and I decided to avoid today. But I am here. I'm ready. If you're wondering, did I record this look? I did record this look. It will not be up before this video because my life isn't that planned out, but it will be coming up maybe next week. I don't know. I have a couple of other videos pre-filmed, so I can't quite tell you, but it's definitely coming up this month. So I will say that. Yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so funny enough, all of these palettes are from indie brands, except for one. There's only one brand in this this video that I'll be talking about that is not an indie brand, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with that, and it is Too Faced. I have two palettes from Too Faced. I have this palette and the gingerbread palette, and if I had to declutter one, it would be this one, and it is my Too Faced gingerbread, or no, chocolate gold palette. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy this palette as I enjoy all the palettes that are in this video, but this one would be the one that I would be more likely to declutter, because there's only 4 mattes, and the 4 mattes are basic neutrals, not even interesting neutrals. They're basic neutrals. You also get, like, of course, the really nice beautiful metallics, but they're basic neutrals. So if I had to declutter something from Too Faced, it would be that. Now, all of the palettes that I'm going to be talking about are all from indie brands. A lot, like I said, I enjoy all these brands. I'm not going to keep harping on it, but I enjoy all these brands and I enjoy all the palettes. Okay, from Menagerie Cosmetics, I would let go of my Pharaoh palette, just because this is the one palette out of all of them that I have that it just seems a little hunky-dory. It just seems a little thrown together. I like it. I like the colors, but like I have to sit there and think, what do I want to do? Now, I could have probably done a very similar look to what's on my eyes today with this palette, just the blue being the green in this palette. But that being said, it's a little hunky-dory. Now, yeah, so this would be the palette I would declutter from Menagerie Cosmetics. From Colored Rain. Whoo, child, I don't have as many palettes as a lot of people do, just because a lot of the palettes from Colored Rain lately I've just not been interested in, or they've sold out before I could get them, or whatever. So the palette that I would declutter is my Queen of Hearts palette. I know, crazy. This is Judas of me to think this, but this is not an original color scheme. I still have my Modern Renaissance, so yeah, this would be that. Oh, that reminds me, I don't have a palette pulled for ABH. Ugh, not scratch it. Give me a second. Since I just thought about it, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the ABH selection, and I would choose my Norvina palette. This is the Norvina 3, and don't get me wrong, I love this palette. I reach for it all the time. I did a 10 looks, 1 palette with this palette. But at the same time, the formula isn't the typical ABH formula. It's a little bit thinner, especially the mattes, and these lighter mattes like this lime green, the actual yellow, those are even more thinner than the other mattes, so it took a little bit more for me to get the pigmentation and the blendability. No, not the blendability. Blendability was fine, but the pigmentation that I really liked. So this would be the one Norvina palette, or the one ABH palette that I would declutter. Dose of colors, I would declutter my Sassy Sienna's palette. I just, you know, this is just, it's a neutral palette and I like color. So yeah, I don't reach for this very often. I've found that I enjoy the pigmentation, the blendability, and even the formula, but just the color arrangement, I didn't choose the best one. And at this point, this was early on in my makeup spending career, so I didn't really know what I was liking and what I wasn't liking. From Nomad Cosmetics, I only have 2 palettes from Nomad, which is insane because they have one of my favorite formulas. And I chose this palette because it's not unique to my collection. And this is the Nomad Lago di Como palette. This is their blue-green palette with those really interesting nude beigey colors. I love this palette. I love this formula. I will probably be going on a purchase binge when it comes to Nomad and getting the rest of the palettes because I love their formula so much. But at the end of the day, this is not a unique palette to my collection, so I don't need it. Auntie Pat. Auntie Pat. So like I said at some point, I think I said it in a video that I've already posted, I actually decluttered one of my palettes and gave it to my best friend. And this would be the next one that I would declutter. And this is the Dark Matte palette. Why I would declutter this is because of this gold right here. Why, Auntie? There are cool tone shades in this palette. Beautiful, beautiful cool tones. Why do we have a gold? A warm gold at that. Like, I don't think gold can be cool toned. I don't think that's a thing. Don't clock me. But either way, that just made this palette just not as good as it could have been. And it seems like Pat is against, she is like against silver because she has not released one silver. Not one. So yeah, this would be the palette because I love my other one too much. Well, I don't really use it, but I love it. The concept of it. From Christina Lee Cosmetics, I would declutter this one. This palette I don't believe has a name, and this is just for beautiful, beautiful metallics. But I enjoy the one that I got, the second one that I have more. So this is pretty, but it's not as pretty as the other quad that I have from Christina Lee. So this is why I would declutter this one. Along that line, Evany Cosmetics, I don't know if they're still a brand. They contacted me and I don't know. Anyways, I would declutter this one. It's a really pretty packaging, very unique. And this is their Cozy Cabin palette. So it has 3 neutrals and 3 purples. I love the color scheme, don't get me wrong, but this just has the most neutrals from the 3 palettes that I have, and these neutrals aren't unique. They're beautiful, and the pigmentation on these are really nice, but yeah. From Viseart, I would let go of the one 6-pan that is the most boring, and that is my Minx palette. I think this palette is great. It's been through a lot. I have used it, and this has been in Shop My Stashes. This has been in my car. This has been my work palette that I use, and it's really nice, but it's boring. It's boring. So yeah, this would be the one that I would declutter. Then we have Makeup Addiction Cosmetics. I have 2 palettes from them, and the one that I would declutter is this one, and this is my Meadows palette. I think that this palette is beautiful. I like that you get a mix of warm tones and a cool tone, 2-ish, 3. Well, 4 because it's pink. Anyways, you get a mix of warm tones and cool tones. It's just I don't like this formula as much as I like the formula that was in the Simple palette, and you also get a lot more variety in the formulas and the makeup and the shades in the Simple palette. So I would give up this one and keep that one if I could. Juvia's Place. Oh, I have decluttered quite a bit of my palettes from Juvia's Place because I was on like that blind, I'm just blind and buying situation at one point, and this would be the one palette I would declutter. I'm still not done with it, but I would declutter if I had to, and this would be my Juvia's Place Magic palette. And although this palette has some really, really pretty duochromes, it's kind of fakakta. Like, you have cool tones here and warm tones here, but the cool tones are a little bit harder to blend. I found these two blues are just a little janky, and one of them is actually a purple, but it looks like a blue. It's just, it's a lot, okay? It's a lot. So yeah, this would be the palette, or this would be the, yeah, this would be the palette that I would declutter from Juvia's Place. Two more palettes left. From Lunar Beauty, I have this one and my other palette. I think these are the only two palettes that he has released, and this is the Strawberry Dreams palette. I do enjoy this palette, I really do, but this has two shades that I hate and the other one doesn't, so it's that simple. These two shades I hate. They don't do anything. They blend to nothing. They're just trash in my opinion. Everything else I really do enjoy. Everything else, even this shade, which a lot of people didn't like because it's pretty much a topper, I can work it so it's not a topper, but say that as you will. I hate these two shades, so because of that I would declutter this. I still wish, like Angelica Niqua said, if he came out with this as a singles palette. And then the last palette I want to talk about is from Blush Tribe, and this is the Blush Tribe Fall Fusions palette. I chose this palette for two reasons. One, I hate this yellow. I hate it with a passion, with a vengeance. I hate it. But on top of that, this is limited edition and no longer available, seeing as Blush Tribe is no longer technically a brand. They rebranded and all that jazz, and they will not be bringing this back to my knowledge. But this shade right here is a beauty, okay? This is one of the best shades in this palette. And everything else is really just nice. But yeah, this would be the palette that I would declutter from Blush Tribe. So those are all the palettes that I would be decluttering if I had to. One palette from each brand that I have two or more from. Let me know down below if you have any of these palettes, if you would keep these and declutter another one. If there's any palettes from these brands that you think I don't have and that I would enjoy, let me know down below. I just realized today that my no-buy doesn't end in October. It ends in November. My heart hurts. It hurts badly, but we're gonna get through this. We're gonna continue to try these new beautiful products that we have, and yeah, I think we're gonna end it there. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, y'all, it has been real.